Okay, hello everyone. We're gonna get started. So maybe we can begin by having a little roundtable. I will begin. My name is Rogelio Bonilla, and I am at Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes in France. And we are at the beginning of this study. I work with Vincent.
Hello everyone, I'm Vincent Wawziniak. I'm also working at the regional agency with Rogelio. So I'm going to present the wood flow in the second part of the presentation.
Okay. I can continue. So my name is Jean-Yves Courten. I am a researcher at INRIA in Grenoble. And my field of expertise is material flow analysis, and especially studying material flows of supply chains at various geographical scales.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Cedric. I'm in French government in charge of rural development in the French Alpine level.
Rinaldo, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Hello. Thank you for inviting. I am a member of the region Friuli Venezia Giulia, Italy. I am the referent for the forestry policy about planning and the proclamation. I'm sorry, I apologize, I haven't sent my survey diagram. I will do if not too late in the next days. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay. Polona, are you still there?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Polona and I work at Slovenian Forestry Institute. And our group is currently involved in several projects dealing with the forest wood value chain, how to add value, how to promote mobilization of wood, and so on.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much. And just for the remainder of the webinar, I will ask you to please mute your microphone so we don't have any difficulties, and also for for the internet bandwidth, maybe turn off your camera. I will leave my on just so you can see the presenter, and then whenever anybody's speaking, you can turn on your camera back again. Okay, so let's begin. This project is carried out in the framework of EUSALP Action Group number 2 on economy, technical subgroup, and so Alpine wood. The main objective is to improve the use of local wood, an asset for economy and ecological transition in the Alpine region. The organization of this group is in several topics, as you can see, the economic potential of strategic sector in the Alpine space. It's coordinated by Baden-Württemberg and Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes, so our regional government. There are 3 subgroups: bioeconomy, wood, and health tourism. Ours, obviously, is wood. And so we are about 20 members, 8 institutions, 2 universities, 10 experts, 6 countries involved. Let me see. Our main objectives are to increase the wood use, the use of alpine wood in the region, in order to reduce the environmental impact of construction. The main actions are encourage cooperation between members, increase communication, and build common tools. and initiate concrete projects in Alpine region so as to improve policy making at macro-regional level. So here's where we intervene in our project. Here are some projects that are going on, and about 100 competence centers have gathered surveys, opinions, experiences, all to promote the wood sector, capitalize from cooperation that we have between us, and then making links between wood projects such as Triple Wood and Casco, which we here in Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes, Énergie Environnement, we are part of, and then support concrete projects like ours. So the main objective of our project, the Wood Flows, is to facilitate the objectives of the subgroup in wood, and is to better understand wood flows and thus give decision makers across the Alpine space an integrated and accurate overview of available wood stock, harvest and exploitations, final uses and products, types of transformations, surplus and shortages, imports and exports. So this is all the data that we are asking each and every region. We try to put it together and have a comprehensive view of all this in the Alpine space. We have already published diagrams in France, and you've received these links. If you need them again, we can provide them to you. But you can see how we've done this in France already, and to see how we want it to look for the Alpine space eventually. So the expected outputs are, they unfold in 3 different actions: simplified Sankey diagrams and data collection, which is what we had been taking care of up until now. And now we are going into the second phase, which is the detailed Sankey diagram and data gap contact questionnaire. So for those who have provided us the data, thank you very much. And for those who have given us either not complete data or not data at all, we'll keep trying to fill in those gaps. And then finally, we will conclude the project by organizing 3 Zooms between pairs of regions. So this will come, we will try to figure out who is most interested in doing this and who will like to participate with them. And we'll figure this out at the end of the presentation. So I will leave Vincent the floor.
Okay. So for this first phase, we have the wood flow based mainly on Eurostat data. We didn't integrate data that were given, for instance, for the Slovenia, or detailed data for different countries. It will be the second phase of the diagram. So I have to say that this first phase, the analysis is difficult because there is too much uncertainty. So that's why we need more detailed data for to improve the diagram, to improve the main diagram for the entire Alpine space, but also to have better data for the zooms. If we want to zoom on a country or on a region, we have to have more detailed data. So I'm gonna briefly explain the concept of the work of the model. What we do, we don't create new data. So we have different data from Eurostat, and we'll have data from that you gave to us. So our inputs are data with gaps. For instance, you can see that on the left. Well, it's in French, but it's not important. So in this data, you can see that you have gaps. For instance, you don't have data, the input in series, so lumber. You don't have the inputs on this data, and you can see also that sometimes the data are inconsistent. For instance, in the CI, so what is produced by the lumber, you can see that it's not the same in the input that in the output. So we can have inconsistent data. And what's our work here? It's to have data reconciled with intervals of confidence. That's what you have on the right. So we don't create new data, but the objective is to have a consistency of existing information. I'm going to go through the different data we use for this first diagram. So basic data were found on Eurostat. Here is the link of the data. And for some countries, region, these data are supplemented by local data, but we didn't integrate the data you send to us, but we integrate data we found on different websites from different countries. And for the France, it's a bit different because this work is based on a project, the AFILIA project, a project on which Jean-Yves is working. So this project is in France. So in France, we already have data, so we don't need to collect the data again. And here is a link of the project flubiomass.fr. On the different hypotheses, we don't have data for the household heating, so we estimate that from the population, and we use the Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes figures. So we use 0.5 cubic meter solid wood equivalent, which correspond to 200 kilograms of dry matter per inhabitant per year. So I'm going to go through the different hypotheses. So after that, maybe we can discuss the hypothesis, and if you have figures for your country, we can change that. It's almost the same principle for paper consumption. We also estimated from the population, and it's about 0.16 tons per inhabitant per year. So we have data from Eurostat for each country, some estimation from the household heating and the paper consumption, but we had a problem from countries that are not entirely located in the EUSALP area. So it's for Germany and Italy. So for these two countries, we have to do a prioritization of data according to forest area. So it's a rough approach, but we didn't have the figure for the EUSALP region of these two countries. So that's the approach we had. And to explain that, I'm going to give you an example. For instance, the forest of Bavaria and Baden-Württemberg, which are the two regions of the two EUSALP region in Germany, they represent about 35% of the total German forest. So the value of flow for this region is also 35% of the national total. This prioritization can be improved if we have more dated data for this country, but it's the rough approach we use. So it's 35 for the region of Germany and 40% for the EUSALP region of Italy.
And did you do the same with France? Because Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes is both in Auvergne and in Rhône-Alpes. So you have also a part of the data that are in the Suera and the part that are not in the Suera. And even for the consumption, you have an enormous city like Lyon, who is not in Suera area.
For the friends, we used we didn't use data from the Eurostat. We used the data from the iFilia project. So we already have data from these areas, but I'm not sure with the delimitation of the area, but we have data in the iFilia project. We have data from the new regions. So we have data.
That's what we said last meeting. Yeah.
So we use data from. In fact, we include the Auvergne in the area, and it's the same from because we in the EUSALP region we only have Franche-Comté, and the new region is Bourgogne-Franche-Comté. So for this region, we had the data for the entire region, so Bourgogne-Franche-Comté, Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes, and there's also another region, Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur, but it didn't. This region didn't change, so we don't have the problem. That answer your question?
Yes. But it's a kind of gap because Auvergne has a big forest, a very important forest.
Yeah, but we don't have the detail between the two parts of the two former regions. So what we do, we say that we change the perimeter of the study and to the new region delimitations. So we include Auvergne, we include Bourgogne.
Okay.
I'm not sure that's your question, but so for France, we didn't choose the privatization using a forest area. So we used actual statistics at the regional level.
That's it. You use for the German prioritization and Italia, and not for the French.
Yeah.
So that was my question. But if we know it, but I think it might be interesting to have this complement if it's still possible.
Okay, so that was for data production in the different regions, but we also have data for flow from imports and exports between EUSALP region. So for a country, we have value. We have values without detail by region. For instance, if we have the value from Switzerland to Germany, but we don't have the value from Switzerland to the EUSALP region of Germany. So we made rough estimates of each country's import-export, so from to the rest of the EUSALP regions. So these estimations are just, as I said, rough estimation. We choose these figures. We don't have really a lot of confidence in these figures, but that's what we use. So we can, if we have more information about these figures, we can improve that. So we use 60% for Slovenia. That means that 60% of Slovenia's imports come from other EUSALP regions, and so that is the same for the exports. We use 60% also for Austria, and the same that for 90% sorry, for Switzerland. We also have the same problem with the countries that are not entirely located in the EUSALP area, Germany and Italy. So it's a bit complicated that what we did, but that was because we don't have data. If we had data from each region, it won't be necessary to do that. But I'm going to explain what we did. So for the EUSALP region of this country, it's necessary to estimate import-export from the international level. And the ratio used according to the forest area. So we use the same approach that in the previous points. Sorry. But for this country, it's necessary to estimate import from the rest of the country. Because if we have data from the two German regions, we have to know the import from this region to the rest of Germany, because the rest of Germany is considered outside of our study area here. Also a rough estimation. Here we assume that the imports from the rest of the country are equal to the import from the international level. So 50%. I'm gonna, if we have, if you have more question about this estimation, we can discuss about that. But it's mainly because we don't have data, so we made a rough estimation of this import-export. So it have to be improved. Here is the link to the Sankey of this third Sankey. Okay, I'm gonna open it. I'm gonna show you the web page. Montrer l'internet plutôt que le. Montrer ça plutôt que la présentation.
Ah d'accord. Là sur niveau partage.
Oui.
Et là. Internet.
Okay. So here is the diagram. So it's a bit difficult to show it on Zoom, but you have the address. You can go by yourself. But I'm gonna just present a few key to understand this diagram. So in this diagram, you have different colors. So if you go on legend, you can see what represent the different color. So the dark green, it's the standing wood. So from the upstream part of the diagram. The light green, it's lumber. We also have a red, which represents the industrial wood, yellow for the energy wood, orange for the wood wastes, and blue for the paper pulp. So it's the diagram from the entire Alpine region. We don't have now the detail for every region. So how do we read this diagram? For instance, you see you have standing wood. This standing wood, almost half of it go directly to the household heating, and the other part is harvest. On each floor, if you go on each floor, you have the value, and you have not just one value, but you have a confidence interval. Um, so this harvest would go in different parts of the diagram. And for instance, the most of it is the lumber, which go in sawmill that it produce sunwood, and sawmill byproducts, which go to pellet production, etc., etc. So that's how to read the diagram. I'm not going to go through the entire diagram, but what I want to show it's that we have high uncertainty for different flow. For instance, for this flow, you can see that we have value. We know that the value range from 0 to 12 thousand cubic meter. So we have a lot of uncertainty for this flow, for instance. Okay, I'm gonna switch to the presentation. Okay. Okay, so I say again that the analysis is difficult at this step because there is a lot of uncertainty, and we need more detailed data. So what are the next steps? We have the second phase. So the second phase, we have to find more accurate data, especially for region missing. Paula, you send us the data from Slovenia, so we will incorporate this data for the phase 2. Rinaldo, you also send us data, so we can incorporate this data in the Sankey as well. And so we have to collect this data for October 18th.
Okay.
So I think that would be possible. We have the data for Slovenia, and Rinaldo, I think it might be possible for you to give us the data for this date.
Thank you.
And so that's the phase 2. We also wanted to have data from other regions, but I can see that we don't have people from the other countries in this webinar. And the last step is to the phase 3 to do some zooms. So at first we thought about zooms between regions, but it also might be zooms of countries if we don't have detailed data. So if people are interested to participate in this room, we can discuss about that just in a few minutes. So we have different possibilities, and maybe with Slovenia, because we have detailed data, maybe with our region of Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes, we don't know. But if you decide to participate on a Zoom, we have to talk about the data privacy limitation if you have this limitation, because at the end, the Sankey diagram for this room will be published on the website, the same that the diagram I show you. So data will be seen online. So we have to be careful about data privacy for these Zooms. So thank you. So if you have questions, if you want to discuss about the different Zoom, you can do that.
No, for me, okay. Will you try to give your the information you need in the next days? So I said, and for so the privacy, I will see if to participate in the publication of the data. But for the moment, I will give you the information that you asked it in the survey.
Okay. So just the data will not publish or give the data. If someone asks us the data, we won't give this data, but it will only be only the diagram will be published. So just to be sure of that about that. I didn't. You send us Rinaldo. You send us an email this morning, so I didn't go through the Excel files. But do you know if you have information of exchanges between your region and Slovenia? Because we have detailed data of your two regions, and they are just they are neighbors.
If I have understand what you ask me, I can give information only about my region and asking the director of our cluster. We have a cluster in our region that is managing data about home building and furniture, about wood too. Maybe add information are in its possibility. So I will try to give. I am now in contact with him, and I think that other data that are or information with export, import with Slovenia or Austria. So I can give something information about it. In my region, also in my organization, I have this data note. I have data about consistent of forest, about how much we harvest and so on. Other data I have to ask people.
And how about you, Polona? Do you see? Is this a Zoom that would interest your region? I mean, your organization to look at the exchanges that happen between Friuli, Venezia Giulia, and Slovenia?
That may be interesting for us, but I must say that we are not collecting data about export and import with the regions in Italy. Austria, it's about the whole country.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we could explore a possibility to kind of see if you, Rinaldo, you speak about the cluster that you have. Maybe we could gather the data from that cluster and then match it with the data of imports and exports with Slovenia, and maybe we could get that Zoom, and that would be a very interesting first glance at what we could do potentially in the future with more.
Yes, I will try. I will do this contact, and I think some good information for this project can be so in the possibility and the use of you and so on.
Okay. Do you have any other questions about the advancement of the project?
No, for the moment, no. For me, because I will start in this day to study and analyze this project. It means that if I will have any questions to do and something else, I will write to you by email.
Yep.
till now I haven't
Okay. Well,
time to study.
we'll see. And Cedric, I see you turned on your microphone.
Oui. Je suis.
Oh, I thought you had a question. Sorry, it wasn't persecuting. Well, nobody else would like to ask any questions. If not, I think we can conclude. Or okay, Antoine.
Yes, hello everyone. Sorry I've been late to this meeting. As a member of the AG2 group of the EUSALP, I would have one question. Also, we are part of our past project called Triplewood and another one from the Alpine Space called InnoWood. And I was wondering if such Zoom might be used as output or contextual data for this project for incoming studies linked to Triplewood, for instance, and from regarding the InnoWood project that is going to start in a few months. It might be useful, I think, to use such Zoom to present the flows between the EUSALP countries, because we are going to work on the use of regional wood, and those data might be very useful, I think. So maybe it's an option to consider.
Yeah, well, if you know any partners from Triplewood, I mean, InWood would be a little. I think that project could benefit from this data because it's an upcoming project. But from Triplewood, if you already have, I don't know, in the deliverables that you had to do, any collection of data between the partners and or any even contacts that could help us gather data from the countries or the regions that we're missing, such as several regions in Italy. I mean, for now, we have data from Friuli, Venezia Giulia, Piemonte, a little bit of Lombardia. But aside from that, I don't know what context you have in Italy, maybe Germany. We had some data from Baden-Württemberg, but not much from Bayern. So we could exchange about that by email. If
yes, I think so. Just an idea, but for the InnoWood project, more than the Triplewood. For InnoWood project, I think it would be very useful. And yes, for the Italian partners, it would be Casa Clima, the agency. So I think we're going to discuss it. Yes, of course.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Thank you, Anton. Okay. I will tell you that this webinar was recorded just because not all our partners were able to attend. So we will make it available to them just so they are up to date as you are. And if you know of anybody who would be interested in knowing what we discussed today, please, you're welcome to share it. So thank you very much for everyone for being here. We'll conclude this webinar and see you next time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm always available for any questions by email, so don't hesitate to contact me. All right. Goodbye.
Okay.
Bye.
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 Bye, bye, bye.
Hmm?